Wanjohi, members of the university management present, distinguished guests from other institutions present and online, members of the University Senate, members of academic, teaching and non-teaching staff of Kenyatta University, postgraduate and undergraduate students, esteemed visitors and friends of the university. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to this significant public lecture organized under the theme, Reimagining the Future of Higher Education in Kenya for a Sustainable Learning Ecosystem. On behalf of the entire university community, I thank you for honoring our invitation and gracing this important occasion with your presence. We are deeply honored to host Professor Raphael Munavu, a revered scholar and education reformist whose legacy continues to shape the academic and policy landscape in Kenya. The presence of distinguished guests from other institutions across Kenya further enriches this gathering. We thank you sincerely for joining us. We also acknowledge with appreciation the presence of all our staff who remain the heartbeat of our academic mission, and our vibrant students, both undergraduate and postgraduate, who are the future we are reimagining. Allow me to share a quote by Nelson Mandela, which captures the essence of why we are gathered here today. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Indeed, the kind of education we envision and the reforms we implement today will shape the kind of world we live in tomorrow. I encourage all of us to engage deeply, to ask questions, and to think beyond boundaries as we listen to the reflections and insights of our distinguished speaker. At this point, it is now my pleasure to invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Washeke Wanjohi, to make her remarks. Welcome, Professor Washeke.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Rua, the DVC Research, Innovation and Outreach. I want to acknowledge our chief guest, Professor Raphael Munavu. I also want to acknowledge very many CEOs who are online. We have my counterpart, Professor Dr. Benedict Mutua, the Vice Chancellor, Technical University of Kenya. I also want to acknowledge the Chief Executive Officer, the Commission for University Education, Professor Mike Kuria. I also want to acknowledge the representative of the Vice Chancellor, Multimedia University. She is represented here by Dr. Engineer Livingstone M.H. Gore, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, Research and Innovation in that university. I also want to acknowledge the Chief Executive Officer, National Research Fund, that is my friend and the CEO of that organization, Professor Dixon Adara. I also want to appreciate my counterpart from the University of Nairobi, Professor Margaret Hutchinson, represented in this public lecture by her deputy, Engineer Professor Ayub Gitao, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs in that university. I also want to acknowledge that from the same university, we also have the academic registrar. I also want to acknowledge my members of management and also the senators who are here and our distinguished staff and other distinguished guests, both physically here and also online, and our students and all the other in attendance of this very important public lecture. I want to say good morning and welcome again for this public lecture. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this significant public lecture. Today's gathering is a reflection of our unwavering commitment to intellectual discourse and thought leadership as we explore the future of higher education in Kenya under the theme Reimagining the Future of Higher Education in Kenya for a Sustainable Learning Ecosystem. I would like to say that education has been and will continue to be the foundation upon which societies build their progress. It is the key that unlocks human potential, drives economic transformation, and fosters cultural and intellectual advancement. And as John Dewey once observed, education is not preparation for life, but education is life itself. However, we are cognizant that education must evolve to meet the demands of a rapidly changing world. Our universities, therefore, must become hubs of innovation, hubs of adaptability, hubs of sustainability, and hubs that project ascending hope. Today's lecture presents us with an invariable opportunity to critically examine the current challenges facing higher education, and more importantly, reimagine pathways towards a sustainable, inclusive, and technologically empowered ecosystem. At Kenyatta University, our chief guest and ladies and gentlemen, we do recognize that for higher education to contribute meaningfully to Kenya's economic, social, and cultural growth, we must critically address some of the challenges that continue to hinder our institutions from reaching their full potential. This includes financing higher education and turning knowledge into practice. I take cognizance, our chief guest, that we have reintroduced public lectures because they play a very, very important role as we engage in the intellectual discourse with the public and with the academia and all others in the industry. So this is the second series of our public lecture. We introduced it in October 2024, where we were privileged to have Ambassador Dr. Mudhaura give the first public lecture. I also would like to say that indeed, a university is more than just a place for acquiring knowledge. It's a place for innovation, problem solving, economic transformation. But however, financial constraints continue to hamper the ability of institutions to support research that informs development, incubation, and commercialization of research products and services. We therefore must rethink how knowledge is translated into practice, ensuring that research findings do not merely remain within the walls of the academia, but actively contribute to Kenya's industrial and economic development. Further, the sustainability of our universities hinges on financial prudence, diversification of income streams, entrepreneurial thinking, among many other interventions which our chief guests we are already putting in place. As public universities, we must endeavor to move beyond reliance on government funding by fostering strong industry partnerships, encouraging commercial research, and developing financial retreat graduates who can contribute to the wealth creation as per our vision and mission. And because truly, our chief guest, ladies and gentlemen, this is not my day, I really would like to spare the rest part of my speech so that we can have maximum engagement with our chief guest. And so we are very, very privileged to have our chief guest accept our invitation. And we are therefore privileged to have this conversation, this public lecture offered by none other than Professor Raphael Munavu, a scholar, a scientist, a policy expert, whose contributions to education, science, national development have left indelible mark on Kenya's higher education landscape. Professor Munavu's career is a testament to the power of knowledge and leadership in shaping national and institutional progress. He is a distinguished professor emeritus in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Nairobi and has served in key leadership roles such as Vice Chancellor, Moi University, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration and Finance, as well as founding principal of Laikipia College of Egerton University, that all these have influenced education reform, scientific research, and policy development in Kenya. Of course, many of us know him as the chairman of Concert Technopolis Development Authority, where he plays a critical role in steering Kenya's journey towards becoming a knowledge-based hub. He is also currently the director, the chairman of the NACOSTI, and he has also served in very, very many other leadership positions. And I want to single out the Kenya National Academy of Sciences, where I had the privilege of serving with him in the governing council of the academy. And though he has exited, we have a new president. I serve there now as the vice president. And he has also served as the chair of the Kenya National Examination Council. He has also served as the chairman of council of the Southeastern University, then as SECU, currently SECU, and he has also served as a commissioner at the Constitutional Commission on Revenue Allocation. He has also served as the chancellor of Laikipia University. And of course, we all know that in 2022, he was appointed by the president to chair the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms in Kenya, where his expertise helped shape national policies that will define the future of Kenya's education system. And the country is benefiting from the deliberations of that report, and I'm sure we'll be privileged to benefit from some of those through his presentation. His contributions to higher education policy are further evident in his work with the Presidential Task Force on Public Universities and Universities Education Strategies in Kenya. And beyond Kenya, I want to say Professor Munavu has also had great impact, which has been felt across Africa, as demonstrated by his role as the Honorary Secretary of the Association of Faculties of Science in African universities. In academia, he has made significant contribution through extensive research and mentorship, shaping the next generation of scholars. His work has focused on intersection of higher education, chemistry, science, technology, and innovation, with a strong emphasis on their role in socioeconomic development. Professor Munavu's legacy is one of the unwavering commitment in academic excellence, policy development, national transformation. His insights into higher education reform, innovation, and sustainability make him the perfect speaker to help us reimagine the future of our higher education in Kenya today. It is now my distinguished honor and privilege to invite our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Raphael Munavu, EBS, to deliver his public address today. Welcome, Professor.
right, good morning, good morning. Many thanks for joining us this morning on KUTV Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday. And you know why this is very interesting? It's because it is the first day of the second quarter of the month. It is the 1st of April 2025. And for those who had goals set for 2025, it is time to look at them and see what have you accomplished on the first quarter of the month and strategize, plan for the remaining part of the year. Now, what has just concluded on your screens, what you just saw on your screen, was the public lecture that we told you of last week that was happening on Friday. That was happening here at Kenyatta University. And sorry for cutting you short just before Professor Raphael Munavu is about to give the lecture. So we'll embark on that. We'll hear bits of that lecture later on as we proceed with this coverage or this morning on Biashara Tuesday. The theme for that public lecture was Reimaging the Future of Higher Education in Kenya for a Sustainable Learning Ecosystem. So it's everything in between what is important for us as people who are learning, or as a parent at home, what is important for your child as they learn. So it is something that a discussion that brought together both lecturers from Kenyatta University and lecturers from other universities, including Jomo Kenyatta University. So if you missed and you want to follow the full lecture from the beginning to the end without being distracted, it's on our website, that is on YouTube at KUTV Kenya. So you can follow that through, because we covered that live, and it's also on YouTube. So this morning, it's a very interesting morning because we are talking about sustainable learning, and in this current generation, everyone is having a phone. Let me just give you a quick statistics on the current situation on how the youths mostly are using smartphones in Kenya. So a study conducted in Nairobi revealed that 69.3% of youths have access to mobile phones. That is above the medium cut. So 69.3% of youths have access to a mobile phone, and 48.1% have access to smartphones. That means that they can go through the social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, access Google, and among this, 90.3% use social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp and other social media platforms. So this is almost 100. It's 90% of youths using smartphones or you accessing the social media platforms. And this is just the youths. These are people who often the phones are bought for them. We are not talking about the middle age groups, that is from the age of 35 going forward. So it is having told you about the statistics. So this morning, the reason why I'm telling you that is because this morning we are having a discussion on digital education wellness symposium. So in studio with us this morning, Collins Dundo will be joining us. He is the CEO, Youth Initiative Development Program, which deals with educating the public, mostly the students in different institutions, both in primary school, in secondary school, and in higher education learning institutions, teaching them about how to navigate the digital space in terms of how they can harness the digital platforms in terms of learning, how they can protect themselves from cyberbullying and protect their data, ensuring their data privacy. So that is a discussion we're having this morning. We all know that social media is a tool that is, it's like fire. It's a good servant, but a bad master. So if you use social media well, it is a place where you can earn in terms of money, in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, because there are courses you can take online. These days, education is really simplified. You can learn from the comfort of your home. But if you make social media your master, we've heard of people having accidents just because they were concentrating on TikTok while driving. We've heard of marriages failing just because people won't share their passwords, or people are liking other people's photos online. So it is something that if you make it your master, it rules over you. But if you make it your servant, you rule over it for your benefit. So that is a very interesting discussion we're having this morning. And Collins is already in the building. So be sure to follow us through this discussion that we are setting forward for you. Also this morning, we'll be having newspaper review with Ojwang Mariam, of course, and Wendy Kawira, who is a delegate in Kenyatta University. So, you know, one thing I like about having newspaper review with the young minds is that they give you their perspective as raw as it is, without filters, without sugarcoating it. So that we will be having a discussion on the newspaper review this morning. And a lot is happening in the country. We all know that the president is set to face the mountain. So quite a lot happening around that visit. Quite a lot happening around, is he going to be accepted warmly, or is he going to be accepted roughly, or is he not going to be accepted? So we had, he had engagement with the media yesterday at night. Quite a lot was talked about. I'm sure we'll be mentioning some of that during our newspaper review. And just to take a quick look at our newspapers this morning, the headlines, just to give you a quick brief of what we'll be talking about. The Daily Nation has the biggest has a headline there saying Ruto's bombshell. What is his bombshell? So we'll be looking at what is the bombshell. That is on the Daily Nation. On the Business Daily, the biggest headline this morning is lease of KPA asset back amid Dubai port interest. We also have a headline there, non-salaried workers to get affordable mortgages. Foreign banks turn to parent companies for capital boost. Insurers breach commissions limit in race for business. So that is on Business Daily. And on the Financial Standard, we have why state motorists are at odds on road tolling. And finally, we have the Standard. The biggest headline on the Standard this morning is human traffickers. So a lot is happening around illegal businesses where, should we say young Kenyans? Not really young Kenyans, because it's a mixture of all ages where they are deceived on better opportunities, maybe outside the country. And then at the end of it, we find that they are sold for different reasons or different ideas or different purposes that is not good according to humanity. So that is on the newspaper. Those are some of the newspaper that you are going to be reviewing. Those are some of the stories that we are going to be looking at. So that is just a brief of what is going to be happening through this engagement with you back at home till 10 a.m. this morning. But first, let's take a look at what is happening on our roads, and let's take a look at the weather updates. All right, now what is the weather situation from where you are? I will begin with Nairobi from where I am. It is a chilly morning, not drizzling, but it is cold. But from where I sit right here in studio, it is a bit warmer. So looking at, let's take a look at what Mr. Google is saying, that the weather in Nairobi this morning, that it is 17 degrees Celsius, feels like it. The weatherman says there is 20% chances of rainfall from 8 a.m., that is 20% chances all the way to 3 p.m. Today. So it's still at 20% throughout, cutting across from 8 a.m. to not 3 p.m., that is 4 p.m. this morning. So it is going to be chilly because it's quite cloudy this morning. That is in Nairobi, and precipitation at 20%, humidity at 90%. Let's take a look. The president will be visiting the mountain. So let's take a look at the weather situation in those areas. In Laikipia, it is 17 degrees Celsius. Feels like 16 degrees Celsius. It will be cloudy for the better part of the day, and from around 4 p.m., there is 30% chances of rainfall. That is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. There is 30% chances of rainfall. Now, moving on to Murang'a. It is 18 degrees Celsius. feels like it. Cloudy also from 3 p.m. There is 30% chances of rainfall to 50% chances of rainfall at 5 p.m. So it will probably be raining in Murang'a County. That is from around 5 p.m. today, this evening. So that is Murang'a. Let's take a look at the weather situation of the people from the lake region. That is Kisumu. It is now 21 degrees Celsius. It feels like 23 degrees Celsius. And throughout the day, it is quite cloudy from around 4 p.m. also. There is a 30% chance of rainfall. That is in Kisumu. And moving back to Nakuru, it is 15 degrees Celsius. Feels like it. And from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., there is 20% chance of rainfall. So in most parts of the country, that's just sampling a few. It is there is 20 to 50% chances of rainfall from 8 a.m. to around 6 p.m. Now, what is happening on our roads this morning? I'll begin with where I am. So, you know, when you're using Thika Road, it's always advisable. I don't know who advises that, but it's always advisable for you to begin your journey before 7 a.m. because immediately after 7 a.m., everyone is leaving the house, everyone with their stress, and heading to town. So, looking at Thika Road, from Thika Road Mall all the way to Muthaiga, that is when you're heading to town, from TRM all the way to Muthaiga. Those using Kiambu Road joining to Muthaiga, that interchange over there, there is quite a heavy traffic. So if you can use alternative road, which is Outer Ring Road, which is an alternative, you can use that. But still on Outer Ring Road, if you look at this is from Makadara, the road leading to town, joining to Lusaka Road, joining to Mombasa Road. It's quite packed as you get to that interchange. And also, if you're coming from other parts of the town, Ngong Road today looks quite okay. The traffic is moving. I'm seeing a lot of green and yellow. That if you are using Ngong Road, and also coming from Strathmore University, joining through Nyayo Stadium, it is quite packed, but it's moving, not as Thika Road. So it is a good day for people coming from those sides of town. Nairobi Expressway looks okay this morning, except from the places I've mentioned. That is on the traffic situation. What is happening on the roads this morning? Not quite happening. Most roads are actually green. That is according to Google traffic. Now, I had promised you that we'll be looking at, we'll take a look at what Dr. Munavu said during the public lecture. So let's just take a quick look at what was happening on Friday before we get to the interview on digital education and wellness.
No, let me stand.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Karibu sana. Karibu.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, Acting Vice Chancellor of Kenyatta University, the deputies, members of staff, and really the whole family of Kenyatta University, which represents a sector of what I think in this presentation we are using the word ecosystem of higher education. I feel greatly honored and privileged to stand before you, to engage with you, to reflect with you on matters touching on the future of higher education in Kenya. To reflect on how universities and higher education broadly are so important in defining the future, not only of the sector itself, but the future of all of us, the future of our country, our region, but the future of humanity. And what you will allow me to do is I will give you my views, but it is best to engage. And the views I will give you will be really what I normally call helicopter view, the broader view. When we talk about the future of higher education, we should correlate it with what future do we want for our country? What future do we want for our great-grandchildren? What future do we need, do we want the world to be, to look like, years to come? Once we define that future, which we imagine for our country, then we ask ourselves, what is the role of universities in ensuring that we achieve that future? Then we can ask ourselves, so if the universities and higher education broadly need to be structured and formulated in that format, then how do we then transform our system to make it sustainable? So basically that is the way I'm going to address my discussion with you. And I'm not going to be long. I have some projections, if you don't mind. If you can do it for me, then I can be able to look at it. So what I will do is I will look at what is it that we as human beings, as societies and communities, as nations, what is it that we want to be? Go to the next one. So I will look at the concept of socioeconomic development and what challenges do we face, and how do we look at a community and a nation and say this nation seems to be advanced, this one seems not to be advanced, etc. And the most important one is that bullet there, number 5, on university education as a key driver of socio-economic development, and the context in which we implement policies and define policies on the way forward, the economy and so on. Mainly, I think it's important for us to understand that. So I will share with you a few constitutional provisions, and then I will end with my reimaginations. But this will not be mine. I will ask all of us to share these imaginations. Ordinarily, I would say, then we will have a resolution or a declaration of intent. But that will come later. We may decide to say it or not to say it. Please, when we talk about development, in any context, what do we really mean? And in my view, it is how we transform people's lives positively. We transform people's lives to make them more livable. By the end of the day, we also touch people's hearts. So we make human beings happier. That is how you make sustainable development. People achieve the goods they need, whether it's clothing, whether it's food, whether it is housing. So you need goods, but you also need services. You need education, you need transport, you need this and so on. So when you have these, and then you ensure that you provide this within the context of a sustainable environment, where you are not impacting negatively on the environment, on climate and so forth, then you are talking about sustainable development. One of the things that I would like for you to reflect on, not now, but as you move on back to do your activities within the university and outside the university ecosystem, is, and that to me is very fundamental, why do some nations develop? And when we talk about a developed nation, we say it is wealthy, it has access to goods and services, and then others are not developed. They remain poor. The terminologies that economists sometimes use is the cycle of poverty. Every generation that comes is poverty. They grew in poverty, they live in poverty, they have future generations in poverty, and so forth. And in my view, the answer to the above is anchored on two analytics. Number one, you analyze what is this thing we call underdevelopment, and also we reflect on then how do you bring it forward. Next. We want to improve people's quality of life. We need human beings and communities to have access to the goods and services, whether it's food, water, quality water, and so forth. That to me is extremely important. One internationally recognized way of measuring the rate or the level of human development is the Human Development Index. And it really looks at three key issues. One is the state of health. How healthy are the citizens? Can they walk 10 kilometers and back and forth per day? How healthy are they? How long, on the average, is their life expectancy at birth? Can they live up to 100 years on the average? Or 30 or 40? That is a measure. Then, and this to me is the most important, is what capacity do these citizens have to look at the resources that they have and take them and transform them into the goods which they need. That is anchored in education. The level of education. The amount of, on the average, the number of years that an average citizen will spend being educated. That to me is extremely important. And finally, the issue of economics. You can't ignore it. Whatever terminology you use, I think there are economics. I see a lot of people who appear to be economics and businessmen in our group here. So it is a question of income. Some people call it domestic, what do you call it? GDP. What do you call it? Come on, relax. Domestic? Very good. Yeah, I saw some people are beginning to go to sleep. That's why I'm waking them up. But there is something they also check. They call per capita. I wish we had a Kiswahili word, per capita, per person. So you look at the bigger picture, you say this is the amount of money in shillings that Kenya produces, then you divide it with all of us. We say if we were to share this amongst ourselves, how much of us would we put in our pockets? They call it domestic, continue, per capita, per person. There is another one which I always like, but I heard it many years ago. and I've never understood why they call it the Gini coefficient. Have you heard of that? Okay, you don't. If you look at the poor and you put them down here, and you look at the rich and you put them here, citizens, if the distance between the poor and the rich is too big, that difference is called the Gini coefficient. And it tells how comfortable is that country. If you are a country where the poor are here and the rich are here, that big, and then you have another country where the rich and the poor are just like this, low Gini coefficient, in which country do you think there is a lot of happiness? Exactly. Okay? So that has to do with income status.
Welcome back. Apologies for just cutting you short on that interesting conversation. That is a public lecture that was happening on Friday. So we will just have you updated bits by bit as we go on the broadcasts. Please don't get tired with us, because you know this discussion also that we're having this morning right here is also very important. And all of this, you can always catch all of this live. If you miss any bit of it, you can always catch it live on KUTV News Kenya, not KUTV News Kenya, KUTV Kenya, that is on YouTube. Now, this morning, I am joined by Collins Dundo, who is the CEO, Young Initiative Development Program. Collins, thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
You're welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How's your morning?
Yeah, it's chilly. Yeah, but I thank God I'm here. Yes.
You're very much welcome at KUTV.
Thank you.
So at YIDP, you abbreviated it as
Yes.
YIDP.
Yes.
As we set this ball rolling, just briefly tell us, what do you do at YIDP as the CEO? What is your day-to-day activity at YIDP?
Thank you, Sylvia, for having me this morning. I'm humble. And just to give an intro of what YIDP is. YIDP is a Youth Initiative Development Program, and we are a non-profit organization based in Kenya. And as an organization, we tend to look at the holistic development for the young person. And we look it in various areas on health, ICT, and poverty alleviation, as well as education. But all these things we want to achieve them through sports. And over the time, I think we were registered in, not I think, but we were registered in 2016. And having an initiative led by a young person, you can imagine we bring in fresh ideas and how we really think the challenges that we face in the communities can be mitigated. So our day-to-day work is to do mentorship, meet young people, try to understand the challenges that they're going through, come up with the solutions, create awareness on the areas that they feel they need help. And we've actively been involved in creating awareness on mental and physical health. Mental health is it's a challenge today, and it's really affecting us very, very bad in the community. And that's why since 2017, we've been doing a lot of tournaments, creating mental health awareness, try to understand where did it all start from. We are not looking at how can we help, like where did it start from. Once we know where it has come from, then it will be so easy for us, or easier for us, to have the solution that can help them overcome. And then we've had a lot of engagement. Like last year, we had our mental health walk in Kasarani. It was very successful, and it brought so many adolescents, and they had engagement with over 10 hospitals that we brought in place, because we fear talking about our mental health status. And now if you mix it up, at least many people will come in and partake of the information and also learn and also seek necessary support. If you talk about mental health, somebody will just think that you are mad or something.
Depression.
Yeah. So it is okay not to be okay. If you feel like you are mentally ill, just seek necessary support that is needed. And I'm really happy how young people have started perceiving it, and they're coming out in large numbers seeking help. However much the services seems to be very expensive, but I believe we'll have structures in place, and our government will be able to, together with a non-profit organization, be able to mobilize necessary resources and make mental health affordable. And mental health is just like any other disease.
Very interesting. You've mentioned that you launched the initiative in 2016. That is 9 years in service.
Yes.
You're dealing with, what age group are you dealing with?
It's very funny. YIDP deals with young people from 5 to 35 years old. Yes, 5 years. Yeah, so we always believe that when we have a better foundation for our young people, then we'll make them thrive. So if we start with an age, maybe 15 years, how about the younger ones who are coming up? So we understand the community, we know the dynamics of the challenges that we are facing, and it starts from where we all started. So if we started wrong, then to mean that we'll finish it negatively. So if we have our foundations laid well, then we'll be able to help our young people thrive. And we have within the community safe places for young people to be able to be trained, to be able to have people that they trust to be sharing their information with, or maybe they need to seek help. I'll comfortably go to a place and get help or to maybe whichever challenge that I face. And you understand, young people look up to several people in the community. And who are these people that they are looking up to? So we are just trying as much as possible to have this in place, have structures in place, and finally we are using sports. Yeah, so we are using sports. We've started with soccer. Soccer is a very sport activity which resonates well with the young people. And we are trying as much as possible to use coaches to be mentors, because they are the key people that young people are looking up to, as well as teachers.
You've mentioned community-based.
Yes.
Don't you think it's biased, because you only targeting, you said you're based in Njiru?
Yes, that's where our office is, but we have activities in Kisumu, Homa Bay as well.
Do you only target people from, should I say, I should not use slums.
Disadvantaged communities.
Do you only focus on disadvantaged communities, or it cuts across? Because, you know, when you talk about mental health, it's also affecting those who are wealthy.
Yeah,
and how do you get to these people? Because most of them may not be released by their parents if it's a young age for their sporting activities. So how do you get to such kind of groups?
Yeah, okay, majorly, if you try to, at least majority of the people affected, by the way, comes from the disadvantaged communities mentally. Today, it cut across, yes, but we normally get calls, and we are strategically, like, we are having partners that we are working with. So, for example, if it is a case whereby a young person comes from maybe a rich family, but not next to where we are having our activities, then we normally refer this particular person to an institution that they can really get help from. But we are cutting across. We are not biased, like if we are offering these services, it's only for this certain group. No, we are open, but most of the clients that we are getting, I call the young people that we work with, the clients that we work with, they are coming from all setup of life, the rich and also the disadvantaged.
Okay.
Yes.
So cutting across, you've mentioned that you focus on solving the problem from the root where it all began from.
Yes.
So how do you do this in terms of mental wellness training or coaching?
Yeah.
How do you get to train these people? So do you partner with hospitals?
Yep.
How do you do it?
Yeah, so we partner with hospitals, we partner with institutions which are offering these services, and right now we are trying to partner with maybe institutions which can even offer employment, because it is like, okay, young people are there, they have graduated and they don't have an opportunity. What comes in? Depression comes in, and anxiety comes in, and now desperation, like you try to curse those. It's normal. It's really happening to the young people. But if we don't partner with different stakeholders, what happens? Then to me, we'll not be able to help these young people. We cannot do it alone. We cannot go and tell a young person that we'll be able to offer you employment. No. We go and meet different stakeholders who can offer us employment. And also we go and meet and even mobilize resources for training, for entrepreneurship. That's another way of being a you can employ yourself. But again, entrepreneurship, by the way, it's not for everybody. You really need to be ready for it, and you really need to be having necessary strength to be able to withstand even pressure that comes with it. You'll not, for example, start a business today and you start earning, getting money that will sustain you. It has its downs and ups. So if you're those moments that you have your downs, how do you go about it? So that's what we bring now. So that's just to help them on how they can navigate.
Very interesting. Now, through your 9 years of working with the young people, some of them are married right now.
Yeah.
How would you say technology has impacted their well-being in terms of their mental health?
I'll say, okay, when we started, by the way, we were not so much pro technology. All I say, we started by creating awareness, trying to really understand the challenges that young people are facing within a community. So over the time, I went through having community engagements and also having a bit of the forums. Last year, we also had a summit which happened at Sportsview Hotel. It was very successful, and it was our second summit. And most of the pointers, or some of the outcome that came out, it's the giant digital. Young people are so much into digital, and it's really affecting our mental well-being. And I'll say we've so much done training, yes, on digital aspect, helping them know what they can do online. But again, we were not so much very keen on the issues of the mental health in the digital space. And through engagement and getting from them that it is an issue that really needs to be tackled, that's why we are having this conversation now. And we are even setting up an innovation, a computer lab at Kayole that is set to help the community around Kayole. And our manual of training really states very well that within the first week of training, a child needs to be trained on the digital wellness, the expectations on the digital platform, how to navigate when you feel A, B, and C. And then after which, now when you embark training this child, particular young person, on the digital skills, now when he meets such a challenge, they are equipped with the necessary knowledge to overcome. Yeah.
Now, you see, when it comes to using digital platforms, especially right now, that parents buy their children phones or smartphones or tablets or whatever gadget they're using. So some of them concentrate on the phone so much. There's this disorder called psychosis. Where someone disconnects from reality.
Yes.
And it's affecting both the younger generation and the older generation. How do you address such situations? Have you encountered such situations?
Yeah, we have really encountered such situation, and that's why we are incorporating sports in every activity that we do. So psychosis, where you disconnect from the family, you take most of your time on the phone. And what normally happens, by the way, in many circumstances, young people who tend that they have a family on the media, that is social media. But the reality, that family is there virtually. But now when the real life hits you, you find you are alone. So what happens? Now depressions and all kinds of mental disorder comes in. But now if a family or family setup can at least have an engagement with their children and tell them, yes, I have this phone I am giving you, but use it for this particular time. Yeah. So at least that will enable even their families or children to practice digital detoxification, which is very important. Setting time for this particular time, and this may be certain time I'm going to the field to jump or to take a walk, or probably to go do some adventuring. That will even help you both mentally and physically, because you know, always your eye is a mirror to your brain. And what happens to your eye if you take most of your time on the screen? That blue light will affect you, and in fact you'll have difficulty sleeping, and then your cognitive behavior ability will also, and then your concentration also will be will go down. So once you practice this balancing, or we call it digital balance diet, then you'll be able to at least to be able to grow mentally and then physically healthy. That's what we try as much as possible to train the parents that are in our program and their children how to go about it and how.
Now, this is something that is affecting both the young people and the older generation.
Yep.
Does YIDP have plans of incorporating the older generation, like people who are married, for example? Do you have plans of having them on board?
They are already incorporated, because the conversation that we are having entails both parents and children.
Okay.
So they are all part of the process. So it's an engagement that it's more of a holistic parents' contribution and young person's contribution. Yeah.
We have talked about problems.
Yes.
Can you take us through various steps that someone can use to detox from social media or using the digital space?
Yeah, so there are so many various ways that people can use, especially, you know, even we focus on workspace environment, and now again education setup. So you understand there is a lot of digital revolution in our country today, and it's going to the rural communities where children could not even access these gadgets. I strongly believe that if there are various applications that institutions can put in place to at least have a way on limiting young people on the number of time that they are spending on their screen. And again, also, we really need to make our tech companies accountable, because right now we have smartphones with us, right? And only few smartphones, I think, that have advanced to that level. They'll be able to tell you the number of time that you have spent on your screen. But again, I think that should not be the case. It should be a prompt on the screen, just to alert you. The same way we do to drugs, it's not good for your health. Yeah. And again, education is a tool that should be used. If we train our young people, they'll be equipped. And once you are equipped, you can defend yourself. Yeah, so that's the best tool that we can use. If we train, like 79% of people in professional workspace suffer a mental disorder contributed by, I think they suffer burnout, majorly contributed by the digital fatigue. There's a lot of emails, a lot of notifications. They need to meet certain goals. Yeah, but who is to be blamed? Who is to be blamed? I think it should be like a concern that our employers really needs to be very keen on it. And it's something that employers tend to, maybe they are not aware of it, but professionals, seriously, they suffer. They really need to make our workplaces, certain places, digital, I'll call it digital free zones, whereby if you go, okay, boardroom, automatically you'll have a screen for projection. That's okay. But how about dining room? Whereby staff will go and meet and take maybe coffee. What's an essence of having a screen there? Yeah, so you find mostly you come from your screen, laptop, and then you go to the dining, and then there is maybe news, TV. We are not practicing digital detoxification. At the end of the day, you are so much, you have digital fatigue, you strain on your eye, and then what happens? That interferes with both mental and physical. Anxiety and depression comes in. Yeah. So those are the mechanisms. If we can use them even in now, I mentioned workplaces, in school environment. What can we do now to help our young people to navigate through these processes? Is now just making the tech space accountable. Let them have those prompts. Institutions also needs to be very, very proactive on these issues. So that they have a certain set time for young people to be using the laboratory computer labs that they have within the schools. And they need to also be integrating these trainings within their program, so that even if I go excessively, that's now it's me to be blamed, because I was trained on the number of time that I should spend on my screen. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, in as much as we are saying there is digital fatigue, social media is making things a mess. As we began the show, I was saying that technology is a good servant,
yes,
but a bad master.
Yes.
Now, there are good aspects of technology. Like these days, they say that TikTok is the new Google. You know, you can literally type anything in TikTok and you'll find an answer. So how can people harness applications like using AI, using social media, the online universities? How can people harness such opportunities for their gain?
Yeah. Okay, so I strongly believe, like you say, TikTok is the new Google. So depends on an individual. Like, for example, what am I going to do to TikTok? Majorly. Because you find most people will go to TikTok because a friend or someone that they look up to is on TikTok. And then that is, there is the FOMO. Like you may fail to fit in. So if you fail to fit in, what happens? Then depression, anxiety comes in. So what we really need to do, if I go to TikTok, I should know what takes me to TikTok, and I go retrieve the necessary information needed, and then I'm off. And now with the online schools, I really need to know what is taking me to the platform. And I do my research, and maybe if it is classes, and if that is done, then I keep off. So the more that I explore into so many things that are really, it's not good for my development, that's when we go wrong. So we really need to be spot on. Whenever we go to the media, we really need to know what really, and the kind of information that we need from those platforms. Otherwise, that's what internet, all these platforms, they have so many informations. But now how to filter out, that's what matters.
And how can someone do that? The filter, you know, we are telling them, oh, you need to do this, but the reason why they're not doing is because they don't know how. So how can they do that?
You see, for example, you really need to be disciplined. I'll not be able to. I'll give you training. I'll tell you the impact, and now it's upon you now to decide what do I need to do. I'm not saying that we need to advocate for clean digital space, it will never happen anytime soon. The digital will have all this information. But once I am empowered and I know that what I need to get there, then that's what I will do. For example, if I go to today on a digital, maybe to do a bit of research, then I tend to go to porn sites, and then I start watching all those kinds of video. What happens? Then addiction comes in, and then it becomes habit. Coming out of it will be a problem. Yeah. So before I get into this, I should really internally understand why I need this information, and how you consume it is now upon you. Yes.
Interesting. Now, as you do the digital training,
Yeah.
especially to the young people, how do you ensure that they are aware? How do you teach them of cybersecurity and data protection?
Yeah. So as we do, okay, for example, we know what is happening, the algorithms that are run within the digital space. And today, data is everything. And cyber security, it's key. And that's where the cyber threats are there, and a lot of attacks, your information can be stolen. And now we start by having just a small conversation about the importance of having data and the importance of protecting your data. That is very, very key. If a child, for example, back then we used to have people, even right now they are calling. If a child receives the phone, then they'll try to, okay, what's your name? Do you know your mom's PIN? Your mom has won a certain, maybe, can you do A, B, C, and D? And if a child is trained and they know if someone asks you for a PIN or someone asks you for this information, then you really need not to give out this information unless it's your parent. Then you are free to give. But it should be like on a real life, like a physical. My parent is asking me this information, then I provide it because I know this is my parent. But someone you don't know, maybe pretending to be your parent on the phone, then it becomes like, no, you really need not to share this. And again, we also enlightened the importance of having strong passwords. Yeah, mostly adolescents, those who have at least signed up to the Facebook platforms. But you understand, we have parents who go ahead even to set up Facebook account for their children. Yeah, so, but you really need to train that child not to share his password or her password with any stranger, and how to make their password be very strong. That is.
Interesting. Do you think social media has contributed to a surge in cases of, let's say, homicide, abductions?
Yeah, a lot. A lot. Even femicide. Yeah. Because just try to, maybe, for example, maybe a lady meets a man and this man is coming from Nigeria. Automatically they have met through social media or something else. Yeah. And our trainings, we see even the discussion that we'll have during the symposium, how can we make tech accountable, like Facebook, TikTok? Because Twitter or Instagram, it starts from, for example, I chat with a lady, or a lady chats with a man. And all this information is there within the social media. And social media will be able to track all these processes. And they should have like an MOU within the chat. Like, for example, if I'm coming to, for example, a girl coming to meet me, we really need to sign. And if possible, should be biometric.
Okay.
If possible, should be biometric.
That's a big...
Because we have pseudo account. People use pseudo account. They don't use their details. Yeah? So you come, I am Collins, but whoever you are chatting with is Samuel. Then you come, and then femicide happens. Then there is no way you'll track down Collins. you are looking for Samuel. Now what happens? That will just disappear and Collins will go scot-free. Yeah. So if tech and those, I understand smartphones nowadays are biometric, right? So if it is biometric, I'm coming to visit you in this place we've never met, let me have your details, biometric captured, then we go and meet. So should anything happen like a femicide, then the social site or whichever the platform is allowed to disclose this information to the authority. Now that we know we are looking for Collins, because all the biometric fingerprints that is captured within the platform. So those are the conversations that we really want to have with the AI advancing and technology advancing today. We also, I'm very sure, will also advance and reach that level.
Do you think there's a failure or ulegevu when it comes to the government side in terms of accountability and regulation?
The government, I'll say the government, they're doing their best. And with the technology, it's evolving process. It's a process. And then I think through these cases that we are meeting now will help us even to revamp on the policies that we have today. I'll not say that kuna like ulegevu, or we are evolving, and I believe we'll be able to strengthen some of the policies that we have today to protect our young person or young people in campus, in primary, in whichever setup of life. Yes.
Is there a group that has been affected most between those in primary, those in high school, and those in campus? You've also mentioned that you also deal with those who are out of school. Is there a group that from your engagement with them, you feel like this group has been affected the most?
Yes. Campus. Yeah, campus, most the campus, those are 18 and above. And you see, after high school, what happens? You have like, okay, I'm going to the campus. And then campus, you meet pressure. There are a lot of digital work. You need a laptop, because within high school level, maybe you didn't have a laptop. Now you've come to campus, there is a laptop. You really need to do this, and then that's when like you really need to make money. Yeah. So when you really need to make money, what happens? You go to the digital online, and then you start searching. You want money, or you're looking for a job, online job that you can work part-time. And then we have very lucrative links and adverts within the digital. I was a victim, by the way. So I'm talking from experience.
Okay.
And then these and then the qualification, by the way, always meet whichever level that you are in. Then you submit your details, you apply. First thing, they got your details. Another thing, they give your offer. And then what happens? You'll be tempted to go for an interview. And where do you do the interview? Sometimes online. And this is an overseas. Then they'll tell you maybe to go use ship. It's very funny. And again now, gamification. Gamification also it's a challenge, because most of the young people in campus, by the way, they bet. They bet. And I'm not saying that betting is bad. Because if you do an analysis, by the way, betting has really helped some young people, depending on where they come from. But healthy betting is also very important. Very important. When you are betting, know what you are betting. You cannot wake up just one day, you take fee, help, loan, then you put it in a Vieta, or you put it in any other, all of it in a betting, whichever. Just be
responsible.
Responsible. That was the right term I was looking. Just be responsible, do the right thing, bet, yes, but bet with maybe money that you had set not to utilize in very important cause, like school fee. And then even if if imechoma, they normally say
There is
imechoma.
a fallback plan.
Yeah, there is a fallback plan. But what happens, you invest all the money there, and then now, once it is gone, that's when you reflect, you come from a poor family, and then all this will affect my parents, and then what happens? You die of suicide. By the way, today is not committing suicide because it was just decriminalized the other day.
Yeah. So how, do you think the the universities, management and policymakers in the university can help the youth in such cases, because they have a lot of freedom?
Yeah.
How can they be helped?
They can. You see, like I said, I come to the university, I'm very naive. I'm not enlightened. Then for the first time, I meet such like opportunities. And then they are always very lucrative, like I said before. Then I am tempted, then I get into it. Universities, I think they should be, you see, the first day of freshers, while they are having these talks, they should be having these talks. They should be integrating all these sensitive conversations in these talks. They should not shy away. It's happening. They should be having these conversations. They should be telling them what to do. They should at least enlighten them, even if when I'll be tempted, before I get into it, I'll reflect what I was told before. Education is power. And and just the other day we were having a conversation and we were saying, okay, even you see these betting firms, by the way, they tend to be doing a lot of CSR, and you'll hear they built an obstacle, maybe they donate some computers or books, but they are forgetting. Betting firms should really focus on investing mental health facilities. It is true. You see, many people, just like I said, mental health is not a madness facility. Mental health is just like any other health. It's normal. Depression, anxiety. And these drugs for depression, bipolar, it's very expensive, by the way. It's very expensive. If today you are diagnosed by one of them, it's very expensive. And that's what we've been advocating for. How can we make this affordable? So these betting firms should invest all those CSR efforts in the mental facility. So at the end of the day, when I get into it, then I feel like I am depressed, then I'll be able to get affordable drug in these facilities, which will keep me going. Otherwise, I'll go there, it's very expensive, I cannot afford. What happens? The next day, I'm off.
Very interesting. So you say that universities should incorporate the digital skills to the learners in the curriculum, not assuming that wamekuwa watu wakubwa, they don't need such kind of mentorship.
Yeah, in fact, not digital skills, digital detoxification skills.
Very interesting. Now, let's talk about this symposium that is coming along, the Digital Education and Wellness Symposium 2025.
Yeah.
What do we expect from that symposium?
Wow. Yeah, so a digital education symposium is going to be an interactive symposium which will focus on digital wellness. And we'll have several sessions touching around all that I have mentioned, but I have like digital peace building, which is also very, very important. So we have various stakeholders, both public, private, and tech education sectors and tech. And then we'll be able, during the symposium, we'll be able now to find out the root cause. Where has all this started? And after that now, we'll be able now to come up with a solution. We have several solutions people have discussed, but we really want to be factualized. Kwa ground, what are these young people saying? And that's what we are selling. This is what they are saying. These are the challenges that they are facing. How can we really grab them? How many people subscribed to digital platforms? For example, online e-learning platforms. We have, by the millions of young people today do e-learning. Young professionals are upgrading their skills every year through e-learning. Do they have safe space within their platform? We have a lot of digital burnout that's attached to that. Do they have safe space within their platform? Even when I am engaging, maybe doing a bit of maybe assignments, at least I should get an alert just to create awareness. This is what is expected. If you feel this, please seek help here. You see, many times I feel like I'm so much stressed, but I don't know where I can get this help. Education setup, now the tech, edutech, within the universities and within the primary schools. A lot of teachers are subscribed to this platform. Even teachers suffer. And today, by the way, teachers are young professionals. They are teenagers, most of them. They are around 35, 28. They also suffer. They really need to be helped. They really need to get this information. Not everybody is knowledgeable on how to, or maybe navigate on how to overcome maybe the mental disorders. But once we are getting this information and a bit of the guidance, then we can get help. Other than just taking all and going to Mr. Google. By the way, Google will scare you. Have you ever been in a scenario whereby you have an incident and then before even you seek help,
You question this Google, you ask Google symptoms, you have all the symptoms.
You will have all the symptoms, and that's where the fear comes in. And then the fear of unknown, what will happen next? And now you are shying off, like you cannot even freely confront your mom or any person that you trust to seek help. See that? So those are the conversations that we really want to have, and we really want to see on how can all this be integrated and how can we scale up awareness. And we'll be having more of building a coalition to bring all these people together so that they can have this engagement from that day henceforth. Because as an initiative, we may not have the bandwidth and the capacity to scale up all this process. But now when we have a consortium of different institutions, higher universities, primary schools, secondary schools, the tech, now they can have a dialogue and now come up with a strategy that maybe probably will influence the policies that we have today to help our young people.
You can also tell us, you said it's like you're building a coalition.
Yeah.
So that means there are people who are supposed to attend. Who are these people who are supposed to attend the symposium? Apart from the people from the policymakers, who else can attend? Who else can present? And also, how long is the symposium going to be taking place?
Yeah. So the symposium is open to anybody interested to be in the digital space. Of course, the digital, it's something which is all over in our home setup, in our schools. So we will want people to come to have this conversation so that we are all part of the process. Yeah. And the symposium is going to take 1 day. It was supposed to take 2 days, but no, we are going to have it 1 day, an engaging event that it's due to availability of resources, because we are young people, like I said. We are a youth-led organization, but sometimes we look at, okay, if we have it on 2 days, what are the implications, like in terms of logistics? So far we have few partners who have come in, and we were looking forward to maybe another partner coming in so that we can go 2 days, but not gonna happen. We are just going to have it in a day, but it's gonna be interactive, and it's gonna be an eye-opener to so many people, so that we have a roadmap on how this giant can be faced. Yeah.
When and where is it going to be taking place?
It's gonna happen at Golden Tulip Hotel in Westlands on 24th of April.
Oh,
So we
this
just
month.
have some few weeks to go. Yeah.
Very interesting. That's around 3 weeks.
Yes.
3 weeks to go.
Yes.
So what what would you advise? Any last words for our viewers back at home, cutting across all age groups?
Yeah. So okay. All I'll say as an advocate, and also by there I have a digital. I am an IT expert. Yeah. So digital wellness is key. So before we get into digital space, we really need to know the implications. We know the benefits and how it helps us to access education, how it makes works flexible within the workspace. But again, we really need to be very, very concerned and cautious on how we use this digital, how we use our digital smartphones, laptops, and all those kinds of things. But whenever you feel like you are facing a challenge, don't stretch. Just go to whoever is your leader within the department and tell him, this is what I am facing. And I strongly believe we'll be able to have maybe mobilize these institutions, and we know where they can seek help. Yeah. So that's all I can say. It is real, mental health is real, and contributed by digital. And now AI is coming, and we don't know what will happen next. So we really need to be very, very ready for it, and by having understanding ourselves and also knowing when to seek help. Yeah.
Very important. Thank you so much, Collins, for making time for us this morning
You're
on
most
a
welcome.
conversation on digital education wellness. It is very important because, you know, right now everyone is like, AI is going to replace my work, AI this, AI that. Now it's very important to know that sometimes you can have digital burnout.
Yep.
That's for a viewer at home. Sometimes you can have digital burnout, and it's okay to seek help because it is normal. Seeking help before things get worse is better than waiting for things to get worse for you to get help. Now that is on the discussion on digital education and wellness with our guest in studio, Collins Dundo. Thank you so much for making time. Coming up next is a discussion on the newspaper review, but before then we'll have a feature on why most youths abandon their degrees and turn into entrepreneurship. See you then. According to World Bank on the Kenya Skill Profile, approximately 30% of university graduates in Kenya are unable to find jobs aligned with their fields of study within 2 years after graduation. Many of them eventually shift to unrelated fields, including entrepreneurship. At the same time, a 2022 study by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics found that nearly 40% of small and medium enterprise owners in Kenya had degrees in fields unrelated to their business ventures. The switch to entrepreneurship is often driven by a combination of push and pull factors, which include lack of job opportunities in their trained fields, layoffs or dissatisfaction with traditional employment, the desire for autonomy, financial freedom, and pursuing personal passions or gaps seen in the market. For Millicent Kirugumi, now the founder of Valine Naturals, it was a forced move predefined for her by the system.
I did education, I did mathematics and business studies. But I had one challenge. You know, anytime you would go to look for a job, you realize that, you know, in TSC, the people who have cleared school like a few years before you, they get the job before you. Especially with my course, whereby there are not many schools that have business as a compulsory subject. So I would hope and hope for a job, looking for anywhere that I can get through the interview. And at the end of it all, I found like this is becoming too tiring.
Millicent shares her journey through various business ventures before deciding on building her own company.
The best fallback plan was online work. So I went to online. I have done online for really like 8 years. I've done Mtuba business, But along the way, you realize that this business has challenges, despite the fact that you see it thriving with other people out there. It is not as you thought. So at some point, I felt like I needed something that I have some control over, something that I can determine the quality of it.
Gamaliel Gerishom, who is now the CEO of Permanent Success Consultancy, also shares a similar narrative about the diversion of his career path.
When I joined campus as a teacher. I should be in class currently teaching Kiswahili and CRE. Yeah, so sometimes I think about it and look at the milestones that I have made and just think about many other people. The journey is interesting for those who want to take risks, who believe in themselves and do not just want to limit themselves in something which they do not believe this is my lifetime affair.
But every magnificent entrepreneurial venture is driven by passion.
It's important for you to become before you have. So becoming has to do with a lot of skills and mindset. Because even me as an entrepreneur, I'll tell you there are certain months I'm not making profits. But if I've not become an entrepreneur, definitely I'll think about employment again.
For Millicent, she drew her purpose from the pain she encountered as a result of stigmatization from having an acne-prone skin.
I wanted somebody, a young person, or those ladies, to feel like they are beautiful. They are worthy, so that even when they step out in confidence, this person feels, yeah, I am worthy. And they can be able to appreciate their skin, you see, they can appreciate their skin without having to bleach and feel like now I have to be brown so that I'm beautiful.
Being a young entrepreneur, Millicent says the venture has its fair share of challenges and setbacks.
There is, number one, a lot of competition. Then you realize there are so many counterfeit products. When you are delving into natural business, it's ask for heavy capital investment, because the ingredients you use, they're expensive, and you want to give people quality, you want to give people the best. So when you are driven by passion, even you are able to navigate through challenges, because valuing naturals is basically my passion.
Gamaliel Gerishom, on his part, explains the leading cause of small business failure within the first quarter of operation.
Many people who have quit employment to come to business, a good chunk of them have failed. Why? Because they were just happy. They were over-ambitious. If you are coming to business, make sure you have at least not less than 3 months money or finances that can sustain that business without you saying that you are paying yourself or you are paying others, so that the business can pick and then it can now sustain itself.
He stresses on the importance of having mentors, doing research, and undergoing training to help avert operation setbacks that arise from having limited knowledge and skills.
I always say that person who is at the top of the mountain knows how to get there. But if someone just admires to be on top of the mountain, they can easily lead you astray because they don't know how to get there. Never underestimate the power of accountability partners in business. Someone who keeps checks and balances. You don't do things alone. Even me, I have a mentor, I have a coach who I have to submit my reports by the end of the month, telling him this is what I've achieved, this is what I've not been able to achieve, and stuff like that.
I went through a vigorous training on formulations. But it all starts from understanding the skin, So I had through a training on skin, then I went through a vigorous training on formulations, so that I'm able to formulate according to the skin type. And something that personally I would have wanted the government to give me is to help me access the government facility where young manufacturers are nurtured, you see. And now that one, I remember I tried when I was starting this business, and it became totally hard and difficult.
Like most businesses, standing out in the midst of market competition is considered a major challenge. Through her experience in various business ventures, Millicent shares her major lesson to keeping businesses relevant.
You know, you enter sometimes in business expecting growth tomorrow. And that is where many businesses fail, because you don't give time for this business to thrive and get some roots. So I would say, instead of focusing on this growth every morning, every day, focus on the quality. The quality of the service, the quality of the products that you offer is what is your business. Keep the best customer service. You know, you may be having the best products, you may be having the best service, but how you deliver it to the customers, it means everything.
In order to build an entrepreneurial spirit and reduce the increasing unemployment rate among young people, parents are encouraged to focus on the gifts and talents of their children.
Many people, especially those ones who have been brought up by parents who believed in going to school, getting a good grade, get a good job, and get a good salary, then retire in peace. Many of them have been trapped into that mindset. Many parents force their children to live their dream. I would encourage many parents, focus on the gifts, the talents, and the skills of your children. Don't just look at the economical value. There is something called fulfillment, personal fulfillment. It is much more important than the money.
Millicent and Gamaliel are just a few examples of many graduates who opt to shift to entrepreneurship rather than blaming the system for their career dissatisfaction. With the current rising cases of unemployment, it is therefore a need for the young people to embrace entrepreneurial mindset. ANYANGO SYLVIA, KUTV.
My name is Jakub Petri. I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. And I'm the main coordinator of the Cafe project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Eva Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting-edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Hello everybody! Welcome to Engine, where we ask the coolest questions in science! Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
If you look at the poor, and you put them down here, and you look at the rich and you put them here, citizens, if the distance between the poor and the rich is too big, that difference is called the Gini coefficient. And it tells how comfortable is that country. If you are a country where the poor are here and the rich are here, that big, and then you have another country where the rich and the poor are just like this, low Gini coefficient, in which country do you think there is a lot of happiness? Exactly. Okay? So that has to do with income status. And finally, knowledge, technology, innovation, commercialization, business, enterprising, enabling environment, all those are extremely important for sustainable development. Next. I think I will not spend a lot of time here, but just to know that sustainable development process leads to alleviation of poverty, you create wealth, you generate needed goods and services, and most important, and this now I will define, you improve the quality of life of the people. Let's do it. And what I want to do is I just want to give you some figures to show you that internationally when you rank countries on the level of HDI, Human Development Index, and you look at the university system or education system, there is a correlation. So a country that has got high development index also has high quality of education. The argument which I would like us to leave here with is that if we want to move forward, if we want to attain goals, then one of the key areas that we should focus on is the issue of education, higher education, skills development, and all of that, if we want this country to move forward. Next. I think, let me not spend time on this. Go next. I just want to look at go to the next one. Okay, this one. Reliable development is anchored on higher investment in human capital, in knowledge output, in innovations, and in commercialization. This is very important. And this is driven in any country on a vibrant university ecosystem. So we say that countries with robust knowledge generation system, countries that invest a lot of money for people to do research, those are the countries that have got higher development index. They are the countries that we call developed countries. Knowledge generation also enables domestication of a knowledge-driven economic, socio-economic ecosystem. So whatever it is, as a country, as a region, as a continent, if you are asked, where do you think we should invest a lot of our resources if we want to be developed, fully developed, competitive, 20, 30 years down the line? Please don't talk about these policies, nini. It is education. It is human capacity development. It is exploiting our natural resources and protecting them, sequestering them, and adding value. Next. This is the one I was looking at. I was looking for. These are not my figures. These are UNDP figures, United Nations Development Program. And they develop them every year. And what they do is they take life expectancy They take education level, the number of years that on the average somebody spends in the university, and then gross national income per capita. They take you those. Over the last few years, I think 3, 4, 5 years, they have changed the education one a little bit, what I am calling here ED. They have changed it a little bit to say, okay, what is the average number of years and so forth, and then they are also talking about other averages. The country with the highest HDI globally is Switzerland. These are 2024 figures. And it is given there as 0.967. The country that is extremely high would have 1. The only figure that you get is 1. The lowest you get is 0. You can get 0. So go next. Singapore, you can see that most of these are up to the USA 0.927.
Welcome back. Now this is Biashara Tuesday Rise Today. Hope you're not wondering what was going on your screen. That was a continuation of the public lecture that happened on Friday, which we promised to be giving you bits of it as we go on throughout the show. Now what is going to be happening now on your screen is the newspaper review, and in studio I'm joined by Kawira Wendy. Umepewa nickname Mwangaza, but it's Kawira Wendy. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
You're welcome.
And Ojwang Mariam. Mtoto, what do you call yourself?
Senior warrant officer 1 Ahmad Teni Kanali.
Kabisa,
and
thank you so much.
whenever I'm doing traffic updates on Art and Culture Monday, command the traffic.
Okay, so we are sorry then. Thank you so much, lady and gentlemen, for making time for us this morning on Biashara Tuesday. It is a very interesting morning, but a sad morning, looking at what is happening on our headlines. There's a lot of human trafficking going on our headlines. Do we call it? Not, that is not femicide. When a man is killed by the wife, what do we call that?
Many side.
So it's not something to laugh at, but it's also something that is also happening in our country today. There is also a lot of politics with regards to the Ruto's visit to the mountain. There is also the clergy, that is clerics, that is Muslim faithful, the imams. They're threatening to join Gen Z protest if at all SRC will not reduce the price, the salary of MPs as was promised or as was said before. And on the Business Daily, we have list of KPA asset back amid Dubai port interest. And it's a time when our president is, we don't know when he's lying or when he's saying the truth, because initially he said that this company will not be given to private sectors or will not be sold, or such kind of narratives. So today there is a plan of leasing it. The Ports Authority of Kenya Ports Authority. Yeah, those are some of the stories that we'll be handling tonight. But first, let's begin with. I just said tonight.
You said tonight.
This morning.
Unajua leo ni April Fools. Could be sisi ndio tuko on the wrong, so we can't dispute that.
It's this morning. I tend to say tonight so much because I'm always having 2 broadcasts running at 9 p.m. So I'm used to tonight.
Yeah.
Apologies for that back at home. It is morning. So let's begin with the Standard. Human traffickers, and Standard says rogue recruitment agencies continue to operate with impunity, preying on unsuspecting victims and selling fake dreams that quickly turn into nightmares of forced labor, violence, and captivity. We expose unscrupulous agencies fueling the human trafficking machine that ruins lives, inflicting untold suffering on families as government turns a blind eye. And what is very interesting there, Wendy, we have Gideon saying that Grace Eshiwani is a sweet talker. When you speak to her, she claims to be in Bangkok. But when you arrive, she tells you to find her at the job centers. We know DCI officers are aware of her operations, but she remains untouchable. It is something that Gideon says the government is aware of, but turns a blind eye on it. What's your view on this?
Okay, my view on this, we are in the 21st century. So on the issue of human trafficking, we are past that. We are past such stories. So kusikia kuna that human trafficking, it's so disappointing, and the government is aware. So we look upon the government to look for such people to make sure that human are very safe and secure. Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you think the government is kind of failing on the part?
Sure.
In terms of accountability and
security, such issues. Yeah.
Ojua, Wendy anasema kama hii serikali haiwezi to protect from abduction, how is it going to protect us from traffickers?
I would ask the same question a time when our police officers who are supposed then to be maintaining law and order back here in the country are in Haiti dying. Others have already died, but their bodies have been held by the Haitian gangs. But the standard saying time is running out. So they're saying rogue recruitment agencies continue to operate with impunity, preying on unsuspecting victims and selling fake dreams. These people are on business. Wao wanajua kila Tuesday waamke waangalie Biashara Tuesday, watu wanasema nini kuhusu mambo ya digitization, how can we monetize that? Hiyo ndio kitu wana capitalize on. They go to Facebook waseme tunakupea kazi. Wewe mwenye unatafuta kazi unaenda kwao kwa DM yao, wanakuongelesha vizuri like how Grace Eshiwani does. After wamekuongelesha vizuri unatuma 150k wewe. Mwingine hapa hivi anaitwa John Juguna na yeye alitumiwa 100k wewe mwenye unatafuta kazi. But there are things we keep talking about. We keep saying that when a deal is too good, it's your time now to step back kiasi and start thinking the second time. Why am I supposed to give you 150k yet wendo unafaa unipe kazi ama wewe umeniita uniconnect na kazi? These things zinafaa zikuwe wewe umeniconnect na kazi. If it's a must, then I give you something, it's from mshahara wangu wa kwanza. But yeye anajua kwa human trafficking business. Watu kama Grace Eshiwani, Jane Thiongo na John Juguna, they win twice and you lose twice. Mara ya kwanza una lose via kuwatumia wao pesa 100k and above. Then unatoka hapa hivi Grace anakuambia mimi niko Thailand tukutane Bangkok. Ukifika huko una knock milango yote, una bang kwingine anakuambia hapana mimi sikuagi huku. Unakuwa ume lose the second time that you are in a foreign country, you've come here to seek a job, meaning you don't know anyone and you are suspect or agent is not there. Unakuwa ume lose twice yet we ni kijana. And the question is until when? Until when will we be such gullible? But we are people who have gone to tertiary institutions. Tukafanya mpaka degree. Some of them have done even masters. But wanakuwa duped to this level. Na wanauzwa as the ultimate impact of their gullibleness. So siezi lia sana niambie serikali ingia, serikali saidia. I would call upon my fellow citizens and the youths. Juu hao ndo wanaumia sana. Tuko tunafanya fact checking ya hizi kazi. Mtu akiadvertise kazi kama ni anakuambia organization fulani imeadvertise, enda kwa hiyo organization kwa website. Angalia kwa careers opportunities and vitu kama hizo. Have they advertised for this position? So that you can know if it's genuine or not. Secondly, before you leave your country going to any other country because of work related issues, do your background check. Angalia hiyo kampuni yenye inaenda kukuajiri huko. Usitegemee tu maneno ya sweet talking Grace Eshiwani. Hapana, you are fact checking so that you know nini inakupeleka huko. Sometimes maisha ni magumu and you will still have to go. For example, wanapolisi wenye walitoka hapa hivi walipelekwa na gava yetu Haiti. Na walikuwa wamesign juu wanajua there are two things involved hapa hivi. Si ni wao naenda kupigana na gangs. Unajua kupigana na gangs ni tofauti na wewe kutokea kwenda kusema Ruto must go. Kahareri ya kuja kuambia iwezi. Kule ni magangs wako na bunduki. So huyu polisi alikuwa anajua atakufa. But they went anyway. Huyu mwingine anaambiwa kuja Qatar, kuja Saudi Arabia. Kwenye bado tunaona watu TikTok wakilia vile wanateswa huko hivyo. But they still go anyway. If you still have to go, do your background checking. Hapo hivyo jua kwenye unaenda, so that you can know what you are signing up for. Otherwise, kuambia watu tusiende is not giving us any good results.
So still on that, I would there is the part where the victims are to be blamed for not having their facts checked right, but also there is a part where as a country we've really normalized bribes when in terms of getting work. You know, when you're applying for a job, unaulizwa kwanza uko na ngapi. You know, the highest bidding person gets the job, and it's something that I think it's making most of these victims fall prey, because they have grown up knowing if you need a job, you need to have money to pay for it. You need to have something to pay for it. So there is someone here called Francis Otoma on Tomwa. He says that he was taken to Nima and Mima, and yeah, and he was told that he's going for a different work, and on getting there, his work was scamming people. That is still on the Standard.
Yeah.
I feel terrible, I feel used, and I'm not sure I'll ever heal from this. I was turned into a scammer. All my life, I'd never stolen from anyone, but I was forced to. I stole over 10 million from innocent people while I was there. So you go there and you're turned to be a scammer. Like, you're given a training on scamming. So, and that's why, still on Standard, that is on page 7, we still have more of our Kenyans being jailed in foreign countries, because we have a family appeals for help for kin jailed in India. Wangeshi was arrested in India in 2022 after being found with the 4.2 kilograms of cocaine. And how this happens is that you are told, if you're coming, you're coming. Now, go to a certain place, there's a suitcase, pick that suitcase and come along with it. So you don't know what you're carrying. You're just forced into crowd or blinded into fraud. And because you're really eager to change the life of your family, you're like, in Kenya here, I cannot make ends meet. I need to try out greener pastures. That is what is making us have such problems. That is from where I sit. And just from you, Wendy, from where you sit, why do you think we have a surge of such cases of fraud for Kenyans?
Me, I feel like people want to get rich very fast, because if you decide to start from a very small business, then you feel like that business won't work. If I sell the smokies, I won't get that large amount of money. So you have to go for bigger jobs. That is where you get maybe caught, maybe made such a scammer, the story of Red for Us. Yeah. Your idea kukua rich very fast, getting money very fast, and failing to admit that you can start from a very small business. Now you want the bigger jobs. Yeah.
Unataka kuwa mbaba at the age of 24. John, what do you think is the reason why we have a surge of such cases?
You ever heard animal farm? Shamba la wanyama. Bado tuko kwa shamba la wanyama. Na kuna mbunge aliwahi sema, if you are not comfortable, ufanye nini? Uhame Kenya uende. But the fact is tuko kwa shamba la wanyama. Kuna kitu mimi huwa nasema. A number of times in my job hunting, nimejipata Commerce House 4th floor. Na nimeitishwa pesa hizo za, nafika huko napata ni scam. Za M Global. Za ingine ito GIF. But si ya kwanza, si nimesema si ya kwanza. So nikirudi nyumbani, there is something that I always do. Huwa napiga salute nasema, huyu amenipata. Because ametumia akili yake. Si the same na huyu mwenye anakuja aninyonge kwa barabara. Si the same na huyo mbunge wako ama MCA ananiibia pesa zangu zote na anitengenezee hii barabara. So they say mtaani, because I report from being a voice. What am I hearing on the ground? Mtaani wanasema kazi ni mingi, shida ni DCI. You'll note from kesi kama hii ya human traffickers yenye the standard wamepea kipaumbele, that the DCI officers wanajua. The state knows, wanasema impunity preying on victims and selling fake dreams that quickly turn into nightmares of forced labor, violence and captivity. We expose unscrupulous agencies fueling the human trafficking machine that ruins lives, inflicting untold suffering on families as government, turns a blind eye. The only reason that could make you turn a blind eye when you can see is ignorance, or you are in that thing together. Serikali iko pamoja na hawa watu. When president atakuja place kama Roysambu, ambie Alfred Mutua wa Labour, nataka urudi huku ingie church ya Jesus Winner, tafuta vijana wapee kazi majuu. Nani upata kandarasi za kutafuta hawa vijana juu? Si Alfred Mutua ukuja anatafuta. Ni watu kama Grace Eshiwani na agency yake. Ni watu kama Jane Thiongo na agency yake. Ni watu kama John Jogona na agency yake. Agency hizi zote ziko registered, so zinajulikana na government. Ikifika hapo hivyo, nitablame huyo mwenye anaibiwa bado. The buck stops with you, Sylvia. You are the one who's supposed to be doing background check. Tutaambia watu usiende hapo hivyo ni scam. But mtu ako na shida mingi sana. No, the last coin anafeel ako nayo ni 150 na anafeel with this 150 I don't have to look for greener pastures anymore. Naweza nunua kashamba kadogo huko Qatar, huko Bangkok, nijitengenezee grass yangu huko. Inakuwa ni scam. Nani ameskamiwa? Sio Ruto at that particular point amemscam. Shida ya Ruto ni ati hakuna kazi. Shida ya Ruto ni ati uchumi haufanyi. Shida ya Ruto ni ukiwa na thao ni kama uko na 100 jua inunui anything. Shida ya Ruto si ati anakuja kuabduct. Kuabduct anatumia hawa wengine. From labor tukishuka hivyo. Hapo hivyo bado tutablame aje wao. Ni sisi wenyewe. Kama uko na 150 mahali unaweza pea mtu. Do you know unaweza kaa chini ya hiyo 150 na ufanye kitu kingine na kikupee pesa? Bila kufikiria venye utapea mtu. Sometimes hatuibiwi, tunawapea. It's willing buyer, willing sell. Watu wangapi wamecomplain tumeibiwa na Grace Eshiwani, DCI inajua, but wewe kesho bado utatumia Grace Eshiwani pesa. John Jogona alitumiwa 100k. Huyu mwenye alimtumia 100k, I'm sure walipata na TikTok. Kujeni tuende UAE.
Are you looking for job opportunities? We've got you covered.
Even for wanaambiaga join our WhatsApp group.
Very interesting. Now, let's get to very critical matter. It's still on, this is the standard that is on page 3. It says, community in shock after wife stabs border rider to death. Now, moments before this death was reported, Geoffrey is believed to have posted a very positive status update on his WhatsApp, and then they had a confrontation with the wife about the store they were having with his wife about her whereabouts, sparked anger leading to his fatal stabbing. Now, often when we are talking about men being subjected to domestic violence, it's a joke. It goes further to making TikTok skits about it, because there's a time I saw a video that was last week. It was a teacher reporting a student, you know, this Kinanjugush skits. A teacher reporting a student that the student was carrying a knife for him. And the teachers were like, mwanafunzi haizi kubebea kisu bure. Maybe wewe ulimfanyia kitu. Mwanafunzi haizi kuja tu na kisu, mwalimu, hiyo haiwezekani. And they made it a joke. And the student was told, go back to class. And then the female teacher came reporting that the student was not concentrating in class. And everyone is up. Wanaleta makosa hadi akiwa sijui form 1. Everyone is bringing makosa yake. Unajua hata wewe trouser yako ni mbaya. So everyone in the staff room is up. wanting to defend the lady. But when the man says the student wanted to attack him with a knife, everyone was saying, maybe you did something for the woman. It is the same case with domestic violence. When a man reports a case, kwa watu wa FIDA, please women don't come at me. When a man reports a case, kwa watu wa FIDA, these the women organizations, they're always coming at him, wewe ni mnyonge. Like, what did you do to the woman for her to react that way? Ulimfanyia nini? But when it comes to a woman reporting, oh, amenishautia, amenipiga kofi, everyone is up, everyone is reacting to it. So do you think this Geoffrey's case is as a result of a societal problem, or is it, should we just say, alikosea bibi yake? Let me begin with you, Wendy.
Maybe sasa alikosea, but sasa hakudeserve the treatment. And again, the society imejaribu kudefend a woman to a point that wamesahau pia man anadneed ile support ya the community. Pia yeye akikuwa like akikuwa offended, pia anadeserve ile support ya community kumdefend. Yeah, to defend the women so much.
And we are forgetting the men.
Yeah.
Ojuang.
I would not call that as a challenge of being in a patriarchal society. No. It's a social issue yenye haihusu hiyo. Because to assume alikosea. Sylvia, you are apart from being a journalist, you are still a lady. Beautiful. Meaning out there, lazima wanaume watakwambia yaje nini all those things. And if your partner, your spouse, your boyfriend, your husband is not someone who understands vitu vizuri, hiyo ni vita. Wewe unaweza jipata uko stop, but haukuwa involved na hiyo kitu. I'm seeing kwa picha za Geoffrey hapa hivi, he has the nickname Mrasta. Jina Mrasta haikujiagi tu mtu juu ako na dread pekee. Ukisikia mtu anakuita Mrasta, most watu wenye huitwa ras ni watu wako introverts. Let me say introverts. Watu wametulia tu, anaga mambo mingi. Na utasikia alikuwa ameweka mpaka kwa status yake ya WhatsApp something positive. But bado aliaga. Na aliuliwa na bibi juu ya kitu fulani. We as a people, as a society, we should learn to be dealing with issues, not people. We should be learning to look for solutions for problems affecting us, not fighting us. Juu angekaa chini na huyo dem, na wabonge, na wakose kusikizana, kila mtu ende kwa mama yake. Juu si must, hawakuzaliwa pamoja. Hii point yenye inafika lazima nitoe kisu, nidunge mwenzangu. Hatufai kufika hapo hivyo. Haijalishi the amount of stress, depression or everything you have. Right to life iko kwa kila mtu and it is fair. Kwa kila mtu. That's why wewe ukitaka kuthreaten my life, I can easily kill you na inaitwa defense. But do we have really kufika hapo? To a point yenye sisi wanaume we are considered masculine, we are considered dangerous, ndio maana all gender topics and issues always surround around women or the female gender as the weaker sex. But tumetumia empower women as a weapon against men. So men are feeling now vulnerable. Juu, ikiwa leo ndapigwa kofi na bibi yangu na siezi rudisha hiyo kofi, itanyamaza tu. Juu siezi bado tokea mimi eti nipigie ngure niwaambie ngure lipata dema amenipiga makofi. I can't do that. My ego and pride as a man can't allow me. Bado siezi enda kwa kuna maendeleo ya wanaume. But it's inactive. It's like it's almost dormant because we know maendeleo ya wanawake. And they don't talk about maendeleo ya wanawake. They talk about issues to do with advocacy. wewe umethulumiwa, kuja tuongelele. Tukifika hapo hivyo sisi wanaume tuko chini. What is the conversation we are supposed to be having? Not the gender conversation. Issue conversation.
Very interesting.
Kama ni mambo na cheating, how can we handle that? Ikishindikana uende. Mi husema marriage kuwe contracts. 6 months. Mmeandikiana. After 6 months mna review. Do you know after every 3 months wadosi wangu niangalilia contract wajue kama na sign tena. Marriage is a business. Love comes later. Kitambo babu yako alikuwa anakaa tu hapo hivyo kwa kasimba. Anakuja amebebewa madebe hivi, anaekewa hapo. Inakuwa ni bibi wa kwanza. Na inaendelea hivyo. Kuna mahali hapa hivi panaongelea kuhusu tycoon mwenye aliweza pia kuuliwa. Gazeti ya leo bado. Na bibi wengine akiwa kwa bibi wa pili, lakini hao ni land walikuwa wanataka. Address the issue land. Not how we will eliminate this man. And then huyo daughter anasema that walianza kubeba documents. Hiyo document hata ukichukua urarue, ujinga yako pekee ndio inakuambia tumetoa evidence. There is a print ya kwenye hii document before inifikie hii title deed. Kuna mahali ilitoka. We can just go there and start the process. Ukirarua yenye niko nayo ati threatening ati utararuliwa, nyumba yako si bado inaweza chomeka. And all those documents zote zipotee kwa wenye weka documents kwa nyumba. But you can get them. Sasa ukiniua na uchukue documents umejisaidia aje? Ni ujinga tu inatusumbua.
And you know the reason why I feel people don't talk about these issues is, if you ask a small child, if a man kills a woman, what is that? Atakwambia femicide. Muulize, if a woman kills a man,
defense.
What is it?
Defense.
It's actually androcide. That's the word. That's the word. The male version of femicide. The systematic killing of men or boys for various reasons, usually cultural. So people don't even know what the opposite of femicide is.
Haiko kwa society yetu hataki kuongelea kitu kama hiyo. Hakuna mahali mwanaume anafaa kuguzwa na mwanamke. Mlifikishana wapi? Hapo ndo ifike hapo hivyo.
Okay, now let's get a little bit of politics. That is on the social issues that is affecting us as a country. Now, a little bit of our social issues. So yesterday at night, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., our president, His Excellency, President William Ruto, was addressing the nation from Sagana. And in the 2 hours, I must be honest, I only had a few things where he was answering the question why Gachagua was sent home. That's the only thing I had. And Ruto said, so if you're looking at the Daily Nation, there's a number of them, but let me just paraphrase what he said. Ruto said that he was blackmailed, he was being blackmailed by the former president, former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi told him, I am reporting once again that he needs 10 billion to go and mobilize the people from the mountain so that they can support him. And if he does not do that, he will become one-term president. He also said that Ruto was telling members of parliament that they should kneel before him. He was harassing the executive officers in government like Farouk, those in charge of staff. And he also said that he saved him from impeachment twice. And on the third time, the MPs did not show up for the meeting where he was to discuss about him letting that matter go. And he said that he is not a president of one person. He's a president of many people in the country, the Kenyans who elected him in office. Those are just many things about what our president said. And from today, he's supposed to be beginning his presidential tour in that region. Members of parliament and leaders were really lobbying the region for the past 2 weeks, telling people that, you know, the president, yes, he's supposed to visit every part of the country because he's the president. From where you sit, Wendy,
Yes.
do you think this was, should I say, a campaign, kipindi, to convince the people that I am not coming because of what happened. I am not afraid of coming. I am the president. Do you think this was just a mini campaign?
Sure, I think it was, but again, pia impeachment ya Gachagua, you can't tell that all the MPs, apart from a few, hakuwa na wa kumdefend. Suppose alikuwa on the right side. Now maybe kuna some aspect of maybe we give a doubt to the president, but I feel pia president anajitetea pale ndo asikwe ground isikwe ash. Yeah.
So you feel any PR?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the interview?
Yes, I did.
What do you think about what do you think about the panelists?
Me, I guess if I speak about the president as at now, the government has frustrated the crowd. And crowd maybe iko very hostile. Niko pretty sure lazima kukuwe na vipindi pale Mount Kenya. The crowd is so hostile. Wame lack trust na hii government ya Kenya Kwanza. Yeah.
But the president is saying that he is a people's president and he has the right to visit every part of the country. He even said that his scorecard is what will determine whether he'll be re-elected in government, and even gave a promise that kama by 2027 hizo barabara hata kwa mejenga, you are the people to decide. We have 2 years to go.
Sure. But sasa, you know, is the president, yes, he was elected, and we have to admit that mpaka pale 2027 whether change mind or he remains. But sasa he has frustrated the ground. Haiku ina expect what it has seen from them. Yeah.
Do you think it's a wrong move for him to visit the mountain right now?
No, it is not. Let him go and see how the ground is. They have been calling youths pale Karen, and they forget that the ground iko huku nini, huku kwa mashinani. Sasa let him go and see
what is actually happening.
Sure.
Ojwang, Wendy is mentioning a very important point that our president has been calling youths in parliament at State House. This is a form of lobbying. From where you said, do you think this is PR?
It's PR. Everything is PR. And it's not bad thing to do PR. He's doing the same thing other people are doing. I think he's doing them better. President of Kenya, President Ruto, is doing good PR, good politics than counterparts wake. Na ndio maana amejaa ile ya kuna mtu anaweza nitoa. Of which it's a thing we are struggling with as a country. Ni nani tuko na candidates wengi bado hatujapata mmoja. Ingekuwa ni mahali tuko na mtu mmoja ati from now to then mtu mmoja ingekuwa kitu kingine, but yeye ana feel anakomali anashinda. But kwa ground hiyo Mount Kenya anaingia, president allies have been busy on the ground mobilizing residents ahead of his visit. Former deputy president says Ruto's tour is meant to appease the restive region. But they're saying that Ruto starts make or break tour of Gashagua's backyard. It's so unfortunate to both President Ruto and his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua that State House yenye iko hii side ya Mount Kenya iko nyumbani kwa Rigathi Sagana. Sagana hapo ndo home kwake na lazima aingie kwake. Akona hiyo mandate. Yeye ni president, na sio president pekee. You, Sylvia, or Kawira, the other one, not the Mwangaza, huyu wetu, can go to any part of this country na hakuna mtu anafaa kukuuliza swali. It doesn't matter who you are. The question is, as unaenda hapo kwa hao watu, unafaa ukuwe na wao, si umekuja kuwatembelea? President Ruto hana hawa watu wenye ndo walikuwa na wao 6 months ago the same Mount Kenya. Na according to President Ruto, hawa wote ni wabaya. Niliona na mimi ufuatilia hizi vitu keenly, because I always believe sinaga nguvu ya mwili. So what do I do? Niongeze tu information nikuaga na kitu kingine, niko na akili. So President Ruto, kila mtu ni mbaya isipokuwa yeye, kulingana na yeye, including hao wanahabari wenye walikuwa wanamuinterview. When they were talking about projects za development zenye amefanya huku, mmoja jamaa anaitwa Martin ilifika mahali hadi wakaambia na president leo waende akamuonyeshe Now that is the debatable project. The rest of 2 hours 45 minutes, they discussed why Ndindi Nyoro is not in where he was. Justin Bidan Muturi is not there. His former agriculture CS Mithika Linturi hata yeye anasema ameng'olewa na Ruto. Watu wengine hapa hata si Ruto aliwang'oa. Mnakumbuka tukisema he must go baada ya kupea watu fake fertilizers, kuharibu shamba za watu kupoteza wakati 3 months wakingojea mazao hakuna. But bado anasema ni Ruto. But either way hata kuwa na wao, hata kuwa na governor wa Meru, hata kuwa hawa wote unafaa ukae chini. When we are talking about matters mental health, we say sometimes unaweza kuwa unajua kila kitu, but ebu kaa chini ujiulize, kwani wewe pekee ndio unajua? Hawa wote wako na shida isipokuwa mimi. Juu President Ruto amekuwa na shida hadi na CJ Martha Koome. Amekuwa na shida na karibu kila mtu. Na wote hasemi shida ni yeye. Anasema these people are incompetent. Let's talk about the incompetence of some of these people. Kwa Scobrand, wanaweka politics, wanaweka Ndindi Nyoro as the best MP. Hapo wamemweka juu ya Babu Owino, juu wanapitana hivi. But to President Ruto, this guy is incompetent. 2 terms speaker wa Kenya. In his reign, I would say parliament was a little bit better. Juu the parliament we are having saa hii ya papa wa Roma, Moses Wetangula, the worst yenye tumewahi kuwa nayo. In fact, ndio the only parliament imewahi chomwa. Hakujawahi kuwa na ingine. But that guy is incompetent. That guy bado amekuwa mpaka AG na bado he is incompetent. How are you reaching all these offices yet you are incompetent? Moses Kuria alikuwa akiwa kwa MITI, Ministry of Investment and Trade, alifanya mavitu kadhaa including zingine mbaya za kutuuzia mafuta mbaya, kuiba sukari, but he's incompetent. Akatolewa hapo hivyo akakuwa advisor, bado President Ruto anasema he's incompetent. To President Ruto, all these leaders from Mount Kenya are incompetent. Ni kuzungusha kuweka. Tuongelelee story ya DP wake wa sahi, Professor Kithure Kindiki. Si anasema alipewa, yeye ndiye alikuwa amechaguliwa, but bado sio yeye alipe. What does that say about him in 2022? That he is unjust, he is unfair, he is untrue. He is a liar. Why? Mbona niambia wabunge pigeni kura, mchague mwenye mnataka akuwe running mate wangu, wachague Kindiki, akose kupe Kindiki, ape mwenye alikuwa na kura ndogo kabisa. And then aingia pige kazi na yeye 2 years, aseme wewe jamani mu incompetent, ni tribal. Hizo vitu zote si alikuwa anajua. Hiyo inamaanisha to that point yeye ni muongo. Zile vitu zote projects zenye aliahidi watu wa Mount Kenya in 2022 haziko. That is why Rigathi anasema ni za Uhuru. So ukikuja kunini tuambie yako. Kwambie project moja ni ya kufungua soko ya Karatina Market. 6 years ago, enda ingia katika mitandao yote ya kijamii, mitandao yote ya media. 6 years ago, former President Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa huko kufungua hiyo soko. Hiyo ndio kitu bado inaendelea. Hiyo ni uongo ama si uongo? But bado hatuwezi mblame sana. Utamblame umfanyie nini? When akona CDF pale hivyo mwenye amekataa kukua CDF. He is defending the government more than the state. That yeye kazi yake ni kudefend government of the day. Sisi kama the people, we the people with all the sovereign power, ndo who decide who will be the government of the day, who will not be the government of the day. CDF Kahareri anaongeza, anaambia watu kwanza kwa public lecture. Unajua kuna vitu ufai kusema kwa public lecture. Watu wenda kwa public lecture wanaaminiwa ni watu wako na akili. That's why unapata KU kuna watu kama Professor Munavu. Ukienda pale ufai kuenda kuongea vitu za ufala. So wewe ni CDF, unasema Ruto must go, shouldn't be there, and if it's there, it's being done in accordance to constitution. Up to now, ni wapi watu wamesema Ruto must go yenye si accordance to the Kenyan constitution? That would be a coup. We have not done any coup as a country. Sisi utokea tunaenda game. The same way kusema 10 bila break is constitutional, kusema Ruto must go ni constitutional. Something the government has wanatriadi kuichukua waseme Kasongo must move on. Unaona? Must go on. Kasongo must go. Kasongo must go on. Vile wao wako na right ya kusema 10 bila break. Hata sisi tuko na right. The freedom gives me, the constitution gives me freedom of expression to voice my opinion. Wewe kama CDF, kazi yako inafaa kuwa huko kwa border, unalinda mipaka yetu. Umeshindwa kulinda mipaka yetu, lakini umedeploy jeshi yache kuenda kulinda, ikuje hapa ilinde mtu mmoja. The state is all of us, not the government. If we don't want this government to go up to 2027, as a country, we have the power to say we don't want, na tukatae. What are provisions given by the constitution? Impeach your president in accordance to the constitution. The same way we impeached a deputy president. No one is immune to impeachment. No government is immune to going home. Kwani government ni nini? Government ni president ama CS wake. Tayari tuko na DP mwenye alienda. Kuna watu wanasema yeye bado ndio people's DP, kuna watu bado wanasema nani si DP, hawajui hata Professor Kithure Kindiki ni nini. Unaona? So huyo hayuko. Kuna ma CS wenye tuliona 2022 na hawako. Hao wakiondoka ni government inaondoka. Government ina change. So CDF asituambie venye tutarani nchi. Asikuwe politician, kama atakuwa politician atoke jeshi. We missed. Na gazeti inaongelea leo kuhusu Ogolla. Page 7, 1 year on, no answers on General Ogolla's crash. Kuna kitu tulisema the time we lost this fine gentleman. A very professional man from the Luo land. A man who had went even to US na akapigana karibu na jeshi ya US. Tunaona hizo videos za 1998 huko akiwa kijana na wale wengine hapo, hata inakaa movie ya Delta Force. But aliondolewa. The moment aliondolewa na huyu mwingine akawekwa, 1 year wewe haujachunguza kujua kile ambacho kilimuua mwenzako. Yet Waswahili wako huku nje bado wanaimba cha mwenzako kikinyolewa chako kitie maji. We are setting a very bad precedent. Or we don't have a CDF, we don't have an army. We have a minister. Apart from Soipan, the other minister wa defense ni huyu. Juu Soipan ndo anaweza kuja ongea vitu zenye huyu anasema. Juu yeye ni appointee wa president, anaweza ngolewa anytime. But huyu mwingine mwenye ni jeshi anafaa kulinda constitution, si president. President anafaa alinde constitution.
And that is something that the opposition, I think is it in the Daily Nation or in the opposition are really mentioning that is Kalonzo, Mudavadi, they're really mentioning that the military should stay away from Kenya's affairs in terms of protest, including former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Now, still, let's take a look at, should I say, because the topic about Ruto facing the mountain is a long one. It's something that is going to be talked of for the rest of the week. So let's just leave it at there. And there was a plan to increase salaries for the members of parliament. And now a section of Muslims has cautioned the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, and the Parliamentary Service Commission, PSC, against increasing the salary of members of parliament at a time when a majority of Kenyans are struggling with a high cost of living. Now, wamesema, musipofanya, as we say, we are going to join Gen Zs for a protest. It's a very interesting time to be a Kenyan. And also, still on cautioning on the government on in terms of managing the cost of living. I think it's in the Standard. Students are going home earlier because schools are lacking funding, so they are forced to close earlier. So it's a problem with the government in terms of where are they assigning or are they allocating funds? Is it a prudent action they are taking by increasing the salaries of members of parliament when doctors on the other side are on streets complaining that they don't have a salary? Apparently right now they're going to be in deeper problems because, let's not mention that. So Wendy, from where you sit, do you think the government is having misplaced priorities in terms of allocation of funds?
Sure it is, and according to me, the other people that we should blame are the MPs because they are the members of the national parliament. So they have to tell the president, because the president is not in the ground, ayuko mashinani, those MPs are there and they know what's going on. So they are supposed to tell him that the country is at the wrong place maybe there are no developments, but sasa those MPs are siding with them, and that's so bad. They should side with the mwananchi wa kawaida, because he or she is the one that made them to be there. Secondly, increasing the salaries it's funny, it's weird, because hakuna development, unaongeza mshahara ya MP shwari. I make any sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Sure.
So Juan, when anasema it's outrageous. Hakuna madawa kwa hospitali, walimu hawana mshahara, doctors are on strike, CBC is crumbling, like the education sector is, should I say, no, it's functional, but it's on its knees, it's begging for survival in this country.
Yani anasema it's functional, na bado hapa kwa gazeti panaandikwa kuna shule zinafungwa earlier than expected because they don't have fundings.
And on Sunday there was a story running, I think it's of Teso. Wanafunzi, their roof was blown by wind.
And 2 years.
2 years ago. And they're learning under trees. So there is no money to pay doctors, there is no money for teachers, there is no money for having better hospitals, kununua madawa, there is no money for getting classrooms, the roofing of classrooms, but there is money for increasing salary for members of parliament. At a time when the president is saying we must live within our, actually that is a bite on my promo, we must live within our means. So which means, what is our means?
Living within our means ni tofauti. Wewe your means si means za Ruto. So yeye akisema ana live within his means, anajua chenye anasema. Akiambia Murkomen, wewe Murkomen, please live within your means, si the same na wewe. Their means ni hiyo yenye unasikia kwa gazeti, senators raising red flag over 87 billion that cannot be accounted for. Hizo ni pesa tayari zimepotea. That's their means. It's not the means of, sitasema Mkenya wa kawaida juu hadi wao ni Wakenya wa kawaida. Niseme mwananchi wa hapa chini, mwenye ako pale mashinani. 366,000 ndo pesa kila mbunge anaongezewa. That will amount to an approximate of 4 billion per month. Per month itakuwa zikienda kwa mifuko ya watu, na bado tunasema hatuna do. Sisi tuko na pesa. Our means ndio tofauti. If you hear them telling you to live within your means, yetu umekuwa umeteseka hata hauna hizo means. Umekuwa ukiishi na means za wenyewe. A middle income person ana earn alipe loan. So hana means ya kunini, akilipwa leo pesa imeisha kesho, na bado ataambiwa live within your means. Na wabunge anasema hii our means haiko, mpaka wanaongezewa 366,000. Do you know ni pesa za kazi gani? Transportation za kuingia ground, kuingia nyumbani weekend. Sio za pesa za kitu kingine. But the point is that wenye wanateseka zaidi ni sisi vijana. Future yetu ndio inafulizwa. Na everyone is gambling with the future of the youth of this country. Tumetoka Idi tamu sana yenye imekuja na jamii ya Waislamu inakataana na ubaradhuli kama huu. Juu ni ubaradhuli kujiongezea pesa hivyo. But wanaeka kikwazo, wanasema the only way tutaingia kwa maandamano ya Gen Z ni kama hizi pesa hazitaondolewa. Meaning if President Ruto watasema hizo pesa tuzitoe, inamaanisha then hawa watakuwa wamejitoa kwa hayo maandamano yenye wanaita ya Gen Z. Does that mean the Gen Z wataacha kuteseka? Wao wataendelea kuteseka. Kesho Kalonzo na Eugene watokee waseme kama President Ruto atafanya hivi, tutajoin maandamano ya hawa vijana wa Gen Z na millennial. Everyone is like gambling, using us. Na kama hizi vitu ziko, our fellow youths, na shida ni poverty na ndio wanatumia. President Ruto is coming to Mount Kenya. Ukisikia anapitia mahali huko na kuna pesa ya mobilization, tokea. Make sure urudi home na kakitu. Usiende pale hivyo kuko skills. Hapana.
Gachagua said,
tokea kama mboka.
Gachagua said ukipewa hiyo pesa, lipa Shylocks.
Yeah.
Usichanganye na pesa yako.
Ni pesa iko cast. Na si tumesema a middle income youth wa hapa nchini Kenya ana struggle na debts. Usichukue mshahara wako unapeleka kwa debt. Kama unataka pesa za debt na leo uko off, Juu leo ni April Fool's Day. As rais anaingia Mount Kenya, ingia na yeye, chukua zako, enda lipa madeni ya Shylock, endelea na maisha. Ikisemekana watu wanaitwa Karen na wewe ni kijana, please andikisha jina lako, tokea. Hii dunia inataka watu wanaishi bila shame. Umecheki vitu Joho anafanya Pwani. Joho mwenye aliwahi simama akasema mimi can cheat can die, nikae chini niseme nini na Ruto, mimi niongee nini na Ruto huyo baradhuli. Saizi anatuambia Ruto is not going anywhere. It means you have to remove that shame, because at the end of it all unalala njaa na uko na madeni na pesa inamwogo mahali. Wewe unasema utaenda kuchukua hiyo pesa ya Ruto, ni pesa ya damu. Hiyo si pesa ya Ruto, ni pesa yenye aliibia wa Kenya, inafaa kwenda kutengeneza, ndio ako nayo. Iko na damu kwa nini? Juu imeibiwa, sisi bado ni pesa yetu. So hii pesa kama iko na damu ama haina damu, bado ni ni yako. Chukua kiasi.
Unga wambiwe pole. Uhuru wonders. Alitupea warning, but people never listened.
Hata hakutuona sisi. Aliwaona wao.
Sure.
Akasema hawa vijana is a ticking time bomb.
But we never listened.
Tumeitiwa sasa mpaka jeshi. Sidhani kuna kitu imechange. In fact, kwa game ya Gor Mahia na Mashemeji Derby, Gor Mahia na AFC yenye ilichezwa weekendi, ndo iliimbwa sasa zaidi. Must go. Must go. Ruto must
And
go.
it's sung everywhere.
Must go.
Sure.
Every event, Ruto must go.
Juzi
Even in universities.
football hapa wameimba.
Imagine.
Yeah.
And you can't control them. Hawezi kuja utuambie, mnaweza fanya kila kitu mnataka, lakini mjaribu kusema Ruto must go.
Very interesting. It's a very good point to end our discussion this morning. As we conclude on the Business Daily, you should get the Business Daily. The Treasury has revived plans to lease Kenya's port assets to private investors, marking a change of tune by the Kenya Kwanza administration that previously objected to a similar proposal to offer the facility to Dubai-based DP World. So you can also follow that, and why non-salaried workers are going to get affordable mortgages. You can also follow that through the Business Daily. Now, this has been newspaper review here on KUTV Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday with Wendy Kawira. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Welcome.
And Ojwang Mariam, thank you so much for making this time. You can give us your kwaheri as we call Ojwang ni kwaheri.
Sawa.
Okay, so thank you so much. What I would like to say to conclude, naweza sema we say in Kimeru, kweta kanisani ntuko chionde kotiko maanisha no noki. What does that mean? Going to church every day doesn't mean that you are saved. That means you have to possess other qualities, other principles. You should have other principles rather than attending the churches, kukua pale church kila siku, so as to be termed as a saved person. What do I mean? Ruto alikuja through church, tukampea kura ya sympathy, and here we are, tuna regret. So we have to check on other qualities. We were warned tuka ignore, but sasa let us check on qualities that a person possesses
as a good leader.
As a good leader. Yeah. And Meru County, nawapenda. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ojwang?
Nilikuwa nimedhani hata umeshaniambia kwa hii. I would say that I've been empowered and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the journey we are walking. There's an organization, non-government organization called Shining Hope for Communities. As tunafanya huko kwa community kujaribu kuempower watu, wao wamecome now kutupiga boost by ensuring that those youth who voted me in as Kahawa West youth leader wa Shofco wanna get empowered. I know Shofco inatafuta vijana wako na dreams na vijana wako honest, sio vijana wa lies that ukipewa loan you can do something with it. Sio upewe loan ulipe. Tumesema kama unataka kulipa loan utokee za siasa, tafuta hizo zaito kichele. So if you are out there and you would love to join Shofco, you've heard about Shofco. Shofco started in the year 2009 in Kibra and Mathare. It is helping or empowering urban slums communities. Watu wametoka ghetto kasisi. Na wewe unajua Shofco, unajua uzuri wake, but haujui venye unaweza join Shofco. Always DM pale hivyo @Ojwang Mariam kila mahali and I will help you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, just a quick feedback from that is YouTube, where we are live. As such, it says, good morning, Sylvia and Ojuang Mariam, following up on your newspaper review from Ngong Road. Thank you so much. And we also have Richard Okenye. Exactly. Ojuang dropping strong points. Ume-inject, chunga. Chunga, there is a warning given to the public. Now that is on Biashara Tuesday this morning. Thank you so much for being part of us from 7 a.m. in the morning. Very interesting discussion. If you missed any, that is on digital education and wellness, you can go back and follow that also. And we also have the discussion on what is happening in the country. If you missed any part of it, you can also go back and follow it on KUTV Kenya. Thank you so much. See you next week.